Hello and welcome to another edition of Broncos Talk Sports, totally a soccer edition. We're missing someone today. Actually, we're missing a couple people.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Jason Trejos and Sergi Manzo. I am not either of those two. I'm Fredy Ramirez from our other show called Broncos Hablamos Deportes. Our guys are competing in the West Regional, the West Regional for
Final.
soccer. Yeah, this Thursday. Right, so they're already in Texas already, and I'll be taking their spot as analyst. I'll do the best I can, but typically we have Sergi and Jason just dissecting.
We're going to have a fun episode today. A lot of things to talk about, mainly among them World Cup qualification. 29 teams out of the 32 are qualified. 3 more spots up for grabs. Big things happening in World Cup qualification.
Right,
First, Italy.
Oh. First time since, 1958 that Italy hasn't made the tournament, or the World Cup. How much of a shocker is that?
It is pretty shocking. I mean, you look at the Italy team on paper, and you see an incredibly experienced team, starting from their goalkeeper, Gianluigi Buffon, then progressing to their defense. They have the former Juventus Big Three, Chiellini, Bonucci, Barzagli, and they have some dynamic attacking players, Lorenzo Insigne, Andrea Belotti, Marco Verratti. All these players on paper look like they should be handing it to Sweden in both legs.
That was not the case, though. Sweden took it to them.
That was not the case. Sweden won the first leg 1-0 in Stockholm. They took it back to Italy, and I have a stat for you that I want you to hear. Italy are unbeaten in San Siro, which is the national stadium, in 42 games. 31 wins and 11 draws.
It's just one of those years, huh?
Technically, to reinforce the stat, they still are undefeated. They tied the second leg 0-0, but it wasn't enough to qualify them for the World Cup. They lost to Sweden over 2 legs, 1-0. It's shocking. You know, you said it yourself.
Right. USA isn't qualified this year. Italy and a couple other teams that we think should have been in there, and they're not. But we'll see moving forward to see how the tournament plays out. But
Chile, USA, all these teams, and Italy now among them, a lot of people are saying they should just kind of start their own offshoot tournament, an 8-team tournament around the U.S. or in some other country. Probably not going to happen, but it would be exciting because so many of these teams, the Netherlands as well, just very sad, to see such teams as Italy, who I love to watch personally, drop out before the World Cup has even begun. And Gianluigi Buffon announced his retirement last night in tears before the Italian media. It's a sad day. If you know anything about soccer, Buffon is one of the best, if not the best goalkeeper of all time. It's just sad to see him go. But on the contrary, there are still games to play, not for Italy, but for other teams.
One currently going on right now, right?
One currently going
Ireland
on
versus Denmark, and Denmark being heavily favored. Who do you think is right? If we're not mistaken, Denmark's winning. No, Ireland's winning.
Ireland is winning right
currently.
now.
There's still some game to be played, but do you think Denmark can pull off the comeback?
I think so. I mean, Christian Eriksen, who's the Danish midfielder that we all know, he plays for Tottenham Hotspur in the English Premier League, is
Hotspur, huh?
Tottenham Hotspur.
Team. There you go.
My least favorite team, but he's a fantastic player. He has the most goals of any midfielder in World Cup qualifying with 8 goals. If anybody's going to score in the game, whether it be from Ireland or Denmark, I think it will be Christian Eriksen, either with a free kick, which is one of his trademarks, or he'll be assisting someone else in Nicholas Bentner, who's the Danish forward who scores a lot of goals. He's a little old. I think he's 33 or 34, but he still has goals in him. I personally think Denmark will win. But Ireland are currently winning 1-0. It's about the 30th minute right now, and by the time you watch this game, or by the time you watch this episode, you'll know how the game finished. But right now, Ireland are in the hot seat to upset Denmark.
All right, so that's one of the games. The other game is Honduras versus Australia, right? And I personally would like to see Honduras make it, but they haven't been playing that well to this point. But who do you think is going to take it?
Well, I can give you a little bit more background. I know after the game in San Pedro Sula, Honduras, Australia flew back on a luxury charter flight the same night, 2 hours after the game was played. They had these incredible light therapy glasses that kind of simulate different wavelengths of light to help them get back onto Sydney time as soon as possible for the return leg, which is going to be played tomorrow. Pretty high tech, whereas Honduras waited the whole night to fly to LAX for their flight, and then they took a regular economy class plane to Sydney. It's going to be cramped. They're going to come off the plane feeling those little aches and niggles that maybe Australia aren't. So I personally, I like the South American and Central American teams. I think they play a type of football that's entertaining and it's a little dirty, but I like it. Whereas Australia, they don't have a star player or someone that can really lead them. They have Tim Cahill, who's their top ever goal scorer, but he's old. He's 38, and 38 in soccer years is
38 in soccer years is
practically a dinosaur. So I personally hope to see Honduras make it, but I think it might go to extra time, and then you never know who's going to take it from there.
So we're on the same page, Honduras.
Yeah, let's go Honduras. I'm all in on Honduras.
I go 1-0.
1-0 for Honduras?
I think so.
I take that.
Yeah, all right, so that's that game. The last game for the last qualifier is New Zealand versus Peru.
Now, I know our sports editor, David Wilson, is big on Peru. His dad is from Peru. Because I'm so close with David, I love Peru as well. I think that if you guys
We're
go...
supposed to be unbiased here. Okay?
Well, hey.
Unbiased.
I think both teams are interesting teams, shall I say. I think Peru has the best kit in world football. So if you go and Google Peru's jersey, you'll see that beautiful stripe running across. It's amazing. As for their players, they're lacking in star quality similarly to Australia, whereas New Zealand, although they're a smaller country, little island out there in the Pacific, they have a couple of big-name players that play in the English Premier League. Chris Wood, who plays for Burnley, he's a striker. Winston Reid, who's a defender for West Ham. There are these players that could make the difference for New Zealand. It's going to be another close game. The reason why all these games are so close, they ended 0-0, all of them, in the first leg. And so right now we have Ireland winning, but this game also finished 0-0, and you just never know who's gonna take it. It's in Peru, by the way. Whether that changes anything, we'll have to see.
Advantage, we'll see.
What do you think?
I think New Zealand wins.
Really?
They just have too much players to, like you said, Peru doesn't have that one. When it comes to qualifying and that in the moment you need your big player to come through, and I think New Zealand has at least two of them.
We'll have to see. It's going to be exciting. By the time, again, you watch this episode, these games will have been played, but you're more than welcome to watch highlights. Should be an exciting finish to see which teams are the last three to enter the World Cup for next summer in Russia. Until then, we'll have to watch and see what's going to happen. Some interesting things
You'll
happening.
have to tune in for next week's episode, right?
Next week, Bronco Talk Sports.
Hopefully Jason and Sergi are back, so we can have more in-depth analysis than just us two.
They will be back. Wish them luck in your heads when you watch this video. Until next time, goodbye.